All right, what's up, guys? How y'all doing? What's happening? Uh, Definitely appreciate all you guys coming through on this Saturday, morning or afternoon for you guys on the East Coast. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Um, I got another special guest in the building today. I got my man Ed from Savage Scientists, and we're gonna talk tech. But shout out to, like I said, again, shout out to everybody that's here. You know what I'm saying? Go down and hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here. Share if you can. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be an awesome interview. I'm excited about it. So what's up, Ed? Do you want me to call you Ed?
Oh, Ed is fine.
Okay.
It's
All right.
perfect.
Cool. 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 Yeah. So what's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm chilling, man. I'm off today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I normally go and do Hello Tech jobs over the weekend, but
Mm-hmm.
today I'm just taking a little time off. Just
That's what's
wanna
up.
wanna relax and probably edit videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what's up, man. That's what's up, bro. Yeah, nah. I know how it go. You can get wrapped up in the work so much. Sometimes you gotta take a little time off for yourself. So
Exactly.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, you
But
might see me looking around. I have two monitors set up.
yeah,
So I
no
have the
problem.
chat pulled up on this one to my, let me see, whichever way my head is facing.
Yeah.
That way, that's my other monitor.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll be
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the same thing, man. I gotta, make sure I
Uh-huh.
keep a track of
Yeah,
all
man.
this stuff I got open, you know what I'm saying? But let me give a couple shout outs to everybody in the building. I'm listening.
All right.
Peace to you. Maddox, what's up, man? How you doing? Black Dove 21, good to see you, bro. You say on hood.
I'm
Savage
good. Yeah.
Scientist, JM. He says, "Did your Saints team win, bro? Man, I don't even know. Did they win? You might know before me, Savage. Did
Man,
the Saints win?
I've been following the Seahawks, man. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I haven't been following them either. But now I don't. I'm gonna have now. You have me. Now I'm curious because
Yeah.
it's still preseason.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's happening now don't mean, man, you might wind up winning the Super Bowl and doing terrible in the preseason.
Yep. I mean, lose
Yeah,
all the games in the
we don't play.
preseason. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I see you representing with that New Orleans Saints hat on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have put mine on. Yeah,
Yeah. It's all good.
yeah.
But
Next time I'm gonna be ready.
all right, for sure. All right. Guillermo Morrison, good to see you. Lovely angel lady, my wife, shout out to you. Thanks for coming through. Big Pontiac, greetings, man. Greetings to you, bro. Um,
Big Pontiac.
yeah, Big Pontiac.
That's a Bonneville there.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I used to like them, man. That was the car to drive back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now speaking of back in the day, um, what got you into tech, man?
I mean, I remember way back in 1987, I got the 8-bit Nintendo. So, like a lot of people, we got that Nintendo, and then I just started playing games, getting so good at, I had Super Mario Brothers 1 for, you see, I came from a poor background. So we had
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario 1. I had it for a long time on a black and white TV. So that's where it started. And I got so good at the game till I'm like, I need to find something more exciting. I can't go out and get a new game. So I just have to learn what I could do that I haven't done in this game. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of got me into wanting to design games. So I was renting games and playing different games, seeing how different games are created.
Mm-hmm.
So I got so good that I became a real expert. I mean, I was just gutting fools. They want to challenge me in some 8-bit Nintendo. I was setting them down. I'm telling you, man, I was a fool back then. But I'm not gonna brag because I still got stumped by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Tecmo Bowl. Yeah, I used to get beat really bad. But I always wanted to. Eventually, it came to a point where I wanted to make a video game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's whenever I started to take computers serious. So that was in 1991. I started taking computer literacy. right there on the West Bank.
Okay.
Um, I didn't learn too much, but I remember asking my teacher questions that he didn't know the answer to. I mean, the internet was fairly new at the time, so he had a 1400 modem, 14, I think it was what, a 14400 BP, I mean bits per second modem.
Wow.
So yeah, I remember, and he had a big one of those big Bell South phones, big, just look like a big phone, the kind that you grip the back of it and it,
Yeah.
your traditional phone picture. He had one of those, and he had that was sitting on top of the modem, and he had an old Packard Bell computer, and those brands that I saw in the beginning became the brands that I thought, well, man, Packard Bell must be good. I mean, I like
Yeah.
the way the computer looked and stuff, and had the big 300-pound monitors. I'm
Yeah.
exaggerating, but yeah, those big heavy monitors. So yeah, I mean that's where I was. So, and also to add to it, I grew up in special ed. So I failed twice in elementary because I was a bad, terrible student. So I had to work my way out of special education environment. And
Mm-hmm.
so soon when I got out, I had to show, I just had to show them that this was a good decision. So I got out of that, and so they held me back 1 year, and I had to learn. I went from what I think I was in sixth grade math, so they put me. I went from sixth grade math to eighth grade math, and I
Wow.
took computer literacy and all that stuff. So I had to teach myself mathematics
Mm-hmm.
because I was still behind being in eighth grade math. They were doing pre-algebra, and I was just now learning long division.
Okay.
But I taught myself the techniques and all that. So I got used to teaching myself. And when you go into computer science, mathematics, any of these STEM fields, it's really about you teaching yourself. And I hope I didn't extend that too long, but
No,
that's
no.
basically where I come from. So
Nah, good information,
so I
bro.
wanted to make a video game, and the only way to do that is given the limited exposure I had to programming at that time. I didn't know anything about programming, so I just thought that making a video game would kind of be like a Photoshop. You just put it in there, and then they have software to do it for you, which they currently there's stuff like what is that thing in C Sharp, Unity. You have
Mm-hmm.
Unity game makers and all that stuff, but I remember reading books this thick on DOS. So I had to
Wow.
learn everything from scratch. And I used to go to Radio Shack and fool with their computers. I learned a little bit of hacking back there. And I remember being able, like, they had passwords set on their Windows 3.1 computers. And I remember going in there, restarting the computer and starting it off just bypassing the DOS, going straight into DOS, and then starting it renaming a certain INI file. I think it was INI something,
Mm-hmm.
and that allowed you to reset the password and get in.
Oh yeah.
So I think I was kind of a hacker back then too. I mean, and I did it all. I used to go there and just go to Radio Shack, delete, just format their hard drive, just to say I know what I'm doing, and
Mm-hmm.
never got kicked out the store or anything. So yeah, that's where I come from with that.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. And you brought up something interesting, like I've had a like I think back in the day they used to put people in the special ed that actually didn't belong. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It could have been um like I had friends that they had to work themselves out of it because of I mean it was just bad. You know what I'm saying? Or not really bad, but just active. Not
hmm
really interested in everything the other kids was interested in, but but they still could learn. You know what I'm saying? I think they misdiagnosed it because I
yeah.
actually got held back on certain things, and I got held back in the sixth grade, in the fifth grade, because of I just wasn't interested in school standardized tests and all this stuff, and
hmm
they sent the information to my parents and was like, hey, he totally flunked this standardized test, and that's because I was trying to hurry up and get done with it. So I just went A B D C A B D C down the standardized
Oh, so you
test.
made So
Yeah.
you were trying to connect the dots.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, I
much.
did stuff like that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, nah, man, I don't know. I'm glad you know pointed that out or whatever. That's interesting, and it shows people that you can um get out of stuff. You can learn stuff on your
Oh
own.
yeah.
You can and get better.
You
You know what
know,
I'm saying?
back then I always said I wanted to be a scientist. Now I remember my father told me, you can't be a scientist in special ed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's certain things that I wanted for myself, and a lot of that stuff was true, but it's just you have to want it for yourself, and it's nobody's fault if you don't
Mm-hmm.
get what you want or where you need to be, because sometimes you start, especially in the New Orleans, Louisiana, and all that stuff. You
Oh
start
yeah.
talking to people about their mistakes, they messed up past. The first thing they're gonna blame it on is their parents, the system,
Mm-hmm.
everything except for the one person in the mirror. They always have an excuse, but they could go there and get a DWI and blame the cop for for them getting a DWI, but don't realize that they had a expired license plate, didn't pay their registration. So that's what triggered them to get the DWI. That's just basic um cause and effect.
Yep. Yep. No, I 100% agree, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you gotta take responsibility for certain situations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying when it comes to it. At the end of the day, and a lot of people don't like doing that. So I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
Now,
and it could be something small. Yep,
yeah.
something small, and then that could branch all the way out to something you do small gonna have an effect on your behavior today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of people stuck in those same situations, you know, especially with jobs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So one thing I didn't do was get you to kind of like introduce yourself or introduce your channel. Go on, introduce
Yeah, yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. You got a lot more people that join the chat, like Kevin and the Prophet,
Oh
Freeze.
yeah, yeah. Hey,
YouTuber
shout out
too.
to
So
you
I
guys.
be out. I'm out here too. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
manage the chat and I check it out. I've been moderators and all that. So yeah. My name is the Savage Scientist, and sometimes you might see Savage Scientist Programming, Savage Scientist Developer, or just Savage Scientist. So what that is me trying to keep the YouTube algorithm guessing, because I'm trying to get into a lot of things under the computer science umbrella. I used to focus on Uber on my channel, but I got carried away, and now I'm focusing mostly on computer programming and computer science.
Okay.
And that's my channel, exactly how it's written there. You could Google me, Savage Scientist, and that's how you will find it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've been knowing Savage, for a while now, man.
Oh yeah.
I've seen I've seen Ed in different chats, around YouTube, and he's always bringing something, great to the conversation, especially when we're talking about tech. You know what I'm saying? He's a dope guy, dope creator. I really like what he's doing on his channel over there as well. So if you have not subscribed, go on and go over there and subscribe to Savage Scientist programming channel. And I have his link down in the description of the video as well. But like you said, shout out to a couple of people I see coming through. Joe Blow, shout out to you. He said starting CS classes next week. I'm happy for spaces like this. Yeah, man. And that's why I do this, man, and try to motivate people, keep people motivated and get them, you know, to wanting to push forward and be successful in the tech field. And shout out to Free Zone
Because
Lou. Salute KIT. And then the Prophet of Dart series. Shout out to my man. Peace to you, brother. Peace. I'm trying to sound like you uh
Oh yeah, bro. And Gabe
Teapot.
with the $20 super chat,
Oh
man.
yeah.
He done blew it out the water
Oh
already, man.
yeah, 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 and shout out to Struggle Security. That's Gabe Bay, my man Gabe Bay. Shout out to you. I know you be working out this time of the day, so shout out to you, bro. Uh, Kevin Lopez and Gear Z Net. Salute to you guys. Definitely appreciate you guys coming through. So let's roll right into the next thing. If someone was trying to, cause well, first let's talk about a little bit more of your more recent background. Like what do you actually
Oh,
do now
oh,
outside of YouTube as
right
far
now
as like Like
I'm at
tech.
IBM, but I actually have a side hustle. I work for this company called Hello Tech.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do anything from mounting TVs, running cable for Comcast, the cable company out here, or doing networking problems. I mean, it's just it's kind of like Geek Squad. It's like a combination of Geek Squad and Uber.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good way to make money. If you know, I mean, you could make some real good money.
Okay.
And along with that, I'm a programmer at IBM. And so what I do there is I write well right now I'm in between two projects. So I'm about to start writing some back end crap for a state project. I think it's gonna be either the state of New Jersey or it's gonna be a big a large bank. So I'm gonna be working with two different clients. So and what I'm gonna be doing is using C Sharp to write plugins for Power Apps. So on the other side, I'm also using Azure. So we making middleware to connect Azure systems to on-premise systems. So right
Okay.
now they still working on how they want it done because they stay in the planning phases.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Is that
so then
more?
they just get the requirements to me
Is that more of
and
like networking or
but
um?
it's middleware. So it's gonna be so we're gonna create software to make it so they might have some system up in Azure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you interact with that system, it's still gonna be able to pull data or pull resources from servers they have on premises.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's
And
dope.
IBM is the big company for middleware. They it's like they know they can't win the battle with that Google the cloud battle. That's Amazon, Google, and Microsoft.
Yeah.
So getting two clouds to talk or getting an on-premise system to talk to uh, Azure or another cloud system,
Mm-hmm.
that's what IBM specialty is.
Okay. Yeah, that's dope. And that's one of the problems they're talking about or that they're seeing with, well, not problems, but that's one of the things that a lot of organizations are doing. They, it's kind of like a mixed cloud environment at a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
So they use AWS for certain things or Google for certain things and on-prem things.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
that's that high. Yeah, I think they call it
hybrid.
the hybrid cloud model.
Yep, yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and that's IBM thing there, and I think some other people, some other companies, they getting into it. But another thing, IBM is getting big into quantum computing,
okay.
and so that's really where they putting their money in. So I'm guessing what they really want to do. I mean, no company is just gonna just say, hey, we can just have a lot of quantum computers all over. I mean, and IBM is also big in mainframes, so they
Okay.
use those types of systems. So it's just going to be an extension. Really, the quantum computer is just an extension that they putting on top of the mainframe business. They're going to run it just like the mainframe business.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they used to that type of business to business relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's dope that a lot of these cloud companies seem like they have access to quantum computers so people can run like calculations because I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
into getting one of these AWS certs, so I'm going through the training, and I didn't know that in AWS you actually have access to a quantum computer to, like, if you want to set up something in the cloud. They have a quantum computer. I can't remember what university is at, but it's at a university, and they allow you to set it up, and you can run calculations on it, but not, it's very expensive, but they do have that option out there for people to actually run things on quantum computers. So it's
That
dope.
could be a IBM computer,
Oh, it
or
might
it might
be.
be some type of research.
Hmm.
That middleware could also be IBM, but
Okay.
since it's a university, they might have their own resources to set that up.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking whenever it comes large scale, and you're dealing with with real computations like NASA and all that stuff,
Oh yeah.
then it might really become a critical situation, a critical system. Well, I wouldn't even say NASA. I mean, NASA deals with a lot of number crunching, but this kind of like a lot of probability. So we might be looking at stuff like forecasting, better ways of forecasting the weather, or economic patterns.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they might use simulations that you might run simulation with 17 trillion outcomes, and
Yeah.
then you want it to be able to process all those outcomes at one time instead of having to use a depth first solution and take years to come back with the best solution.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those quantum computers, they doing stuff. I mean, they doing stuff that it take a normal computer, I mean, a powerful supercomputer. It might take a supercomputer 8 months to do it. A quantum computer could do it in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, that technology, man, is really gonna change the world and the way we look at computers and stuff once it becomes the norm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know, man. That's crazy. Now, um, since you kind of talked about what you do, like if someone was trying to get into that area that you in, or they want to follow your steps, so to speak, where you think they should start?
Well, I would say, and I made a lot of mistakes in this path where to get to where I'm at now. So I would say the best thing to do is just start planning what you want to do and write it down. Make yourself probably a 5 year goal, and then break it down into smaller things that you actually could accomplish. And it doesn't matter if you decide to take the university route, certifications route. Both routes will get you a good job, but most of the time, I would try and do both because
Hmm.
you need those certifications so you could demonstrate you know what you're doing on the job, and that degree is going to get you the interview and get you past HR. And some type of combination of the two is going to really put you above the people who just have certifications or just have a degree. So that's why I really think that that path is probably the best. And another thing is getting some type of job experience. I got a little bit of experience from the military,
Hmm.
but I didn't have access to the system because I went in there talking about wanting to be a hacker and all that stuff. But you talk about hacking around military base. Like, oh, I don't trust you around my network.
Yeah.
I got that type of thing. So I had to let them know I'm not trying to. I mean, probably my second day on the job, and here I go in the commander's office telling them that I'm not trying to hack it or sell information, because I think that was around the time when that was probably when 9/11 was still fresh in people's
Okay.
minds. So sometimes you just have to know what to say, and I mean, I'm a loudmouth person. I tend to speak my mind. I don't care. I get in trouble for saying some of the things I say, but that's just my personality. So if you have that type of personality, then you might need to know how to hit the switch on it, or just
Hmm.
deal with whatever comes your way from running your mouth.
Yeah.
And I've been on various jobs. I've been IT manager, network administrator. So having a degree in computer science will open up a lot of jobs for you, but that's not the only way to get that experience. I mean, there's boot camps. They are pretty good too, but the thing about a boot camp is you're going to learn how to code. You're not going to know how to program. And the difference between programming and coding is programming to me is more of scripting, doing stuff that doesn't require knowledge of the system, and developing large scale systems. Developers, they would have to they would probably edit the code, or modify systems based off what coders sent them.
Hmm.
It's like a code on steroids.
Yeah. I got you. I got you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And let me stop the show for a second. Easy. What's up, man? How you doing? That's my other New Orleans brother. You know what I'm saying? I know you know him
Got
too,
Easy
Savage.
here
Yeah, Easy
and
Computer
Professor Black
Solutions.
Eye
Yeah,
and
shout out
Paul
to you. And Kevin, and PBO,
uh,
salute to you, bro. Salute to you. Definitely appreciate you. And Paul
for
BC,
sure.
good to see you. I really appreciate everybody that come through, man, to these things. I know it's always low numbers, you know, which is fine. I mean, I'm getting the information out to who I can get it out to, but you know,
Oh
I
yeah.
really appreciate you guys coming through for these types of talks. Oh man, but I'm trying to remember where we stopped at. Oh, so programming versus um
Oh yeah, yeah. We would. I think we were talking. We were just talking about just how programming and coding. I mean,
yeah.
there's a blurry line that differentiate the two. But
Mhm.
I just look at a developer or I mean not developer programmers. Programmers are kind of like the next step in coding.
Mhm. And oh yeah, and another thing you brought up was having like a mixed bag of the training that you have, kind of like, you
Hmm.
know, degree partially degree. I mean, it could be associate's degree
Yeah, yeah, it
or
could be
whatever
associate degree.
inserts, you know,
Yeah,
and
long as
combined.
it's a degree, because
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to get into that $50,000 student loan debt and not have a degree, even if it's a piece of crap degree. Long as you have a degree from a college that you could put down on paper.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. And that kind of rolls into like one of my next questions, I mean, you essentially answered it already, but I normally ask like
Oh yeah,
degrees versus certifications or both, and you basically just laid it out as both, you know. And
yeah.
so let me ask you this then. Well, once you get into these types of positions, because you have a lot of experience, you've been around, you know, working in this field for a long time.
Yeah.
How do you keep current on the skills that you know have, as well as new technologies that are coming out?
Well, I would say you have to like it. I mean, you have to be like a techie. I would say, like Easy, for example. He buys the newest, greatest cell phones. He's on top of cell phones, even if he don't particularly like the cell phone. He's gonna test it out to see and find something he like about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to apply a model like that. I mean, you don't have to go buy everything, but you just have to be aware of it, especially when it comes to programming. I mean, that's a real big thing, because you have Python with different releases. Like Python 4 is gonna come out one day. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember I remember when I learned Python 2, and I mean that's a big difference between 2 and 3, almost like two different languages. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean stuff like that. And it's just being on top of different trends, following the news in the development community, even following what these companies are doing. Like Google is trying to replace C++ with Carbon, the Carbon programming language.
Okay.
So that's still years away, but it's just something to be aware of. So whenever that times happen, when everybody start talking about Carbon, you not you not deciding to want to still talk about C++ and talk about new features, because I mean once the once the once the industry abandon certain languages,
Mm-hmm.
most likely they're not going back. That's why you don't hear about people programming in BASIC in today, because I mean, who even care about BASIC?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes those languages can come back, because Fortran, that language is supposed to be dead, and COBOL is supposed to be dead, but somehow
Yeah, it's still
in
around.
a push for them to do it. I mean, assembly won't ever die, because that's the only way to get access to the low level hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So and I'm thinking that's going to be the same thing. I think that if they replace C++ with something like Carbon, C and C++ will still have its place, but it's going to be more like one of those legacy languages, like COBOL, Fortran, assembly, C, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just going to have its place, because I already know. To me personally, I don't think they're going to replace C++. They're going to probably just make something new, but we're going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up news, and that's one of the reasons I do a lot of videos on different things I see in the news when it comes to technology, when it comes to Linux, programming every now and then, just to get people in the mindset that you got to keep, as far as like a techie, it ain't just working on this stuff. You got to pay attention to what's going on in the industry as well. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so I'm glad you brought up news because that's like I said, I would just try to get people in the mindset of, and I know a lot of people already do this, but you got to stay on top of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And news articles and reading different articles that'll keep you up to date with what you need to learn, or because like you said, there's new languages coming out all the time. Like I remember
Yeah.
a while back, Rust was it's starting to get big because like they introduced it into the Linux. It became part of the Linux opera or the Linux kernel a while back.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah,
finally
for all that
approved it.
web stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, Rust
yeah.
and Ruby. Oh, yeah, Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I never got a chance to learn a lot of those languages, but it's like once you learn how to program, get real good at one language, and that's another thing a person should do. If when you learn how to program, you should stick with that language until you able to write a decent program. Because I see this a lot. People would start in something like um JavaScript. And once they get the functions, they'll be, oh, it's too hard to understand functions. Let me learn Python. And then they find out there's something they don't like about Python. So they know a little bit about a lot of languages.
mm-hmm.
But if you could get past all that stuff and understand what a function really is, and that's why it might be easy to go after a easy to learn language like Python and JavaScript, and not something, I mean, not just try and learn assembly language and thinking, because that's just too that is kind of like going from arithmetic to algebra. You know, there's too much stuff in between, but at one point in time, that's the way everyone had to do it. But it's different now. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to, and that's probably why people were so scared of computers, because of, you know, that learning gap that you had to make to be able to understand this junk they're doing in assembly language. Or everybody had to program to get the computer to do something, like in
Mm-hmm.
the 60s and 70s. So it's easy now. And now you just have to take your time, dive I wouldn't say dive deep, but just learn enough about a programming language. I would say probably get to the part where you could write a decent program that you would probably create loops, create functions, and probably create objects and classes.
Mm-hmm.
And just once you get past that in any language, then you don't have to learn a language. You could just look at source code and have an idea of what things is doing.
Exactly. No, and I agree. I agree. That's you should focus on that one. To not you ain't gotta master it, but at least understand it.
Yeah.
And then the concepts are pretty much the same across the board when it comes to different programming languages, like understanding the logic and the functions and different things in the way you put it. It's just all syntax changes at that point. Now shout out to Majestic Logic. Says, I think people fail to show application of degrees and certifications either by projects or research. Even a personal blog can help set yourself apart. And I agree.
I
I
agree.
agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely put yourself out there, and that's why I always talk about LinkedIn. That's a great resource to allow you to show off things that you've done. It's LinkedIn is kind of like almost social media at this point, like a
Yeah,
Facebook
LinkedIn really
account.
good.
Yeah.
I
um,
see Kevin with one too, saying, "What's my thought or what's our thoughts on Java development?" I would say Java is
mhm,
another good language to learn, but Java is kind of, they have memes out there that just kind of explain some of the strengths and weaknesses about some of these languages. And like Java is known as a language it's a simplified, it's kind of simplified some of the things you could do in C++, but just overly complicated compared to Python.
mhm,
It's slow, and is interpreted, and it's just I wouldn't say it's a bad language because it's one of the best languages for
Oh yeah.
websites. Because you think about Java, if you learn C++, you already know everything about. Well, if you learn C++, you would know probably 75% of Java, and if you learn Java, you probably know about 60% of C++.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that the difference is something that you can learn on your own, but you get most of the things like recursion, polymorphism, inheritance, and all that object oriented programming stuff. That you can apply that to Python, PHP, and many other languages that uses that stuff.
Okay.
But you can't do it in assembly language though.
Mm.
No objects, none of that junk. But the thing is, assembly language is behind going on under the hood of all these languages.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of these different languages, which one do you recommend? Because I've heard you name a few, but which one would you recommend someone new that wants to get into programming to learn?
If you want to learn programming, I would start off, even though I'm doing C++, I would start off with Python.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, and that kind of answers your question. JM, he says, would you recommend learning Python first? If I want to
Oh yeah.
learn HTML to build web, well,
Well, if you're
they
building a
different.
website, then
Yeah.
yeah, he would have to learn. If you learn HTML, you would also have to learn CSS.
Yeah.
And if you want to, what I would do is I would just focus on learning CSS and HTML, and then get good enough with those because you might want to go into JavaScript
Yeah. Or PHP.
instead of Python. Or PHP,
Yeah.
or Ruby, or
Mm-hmm.
C Sharp. The good thing about C Sharp, if you learn C Sharp, you actually, well, really C Sharp and Ruby, and Python for extent, then you will know most you'll know a little bit about programming, so you could apply that outside of web development or web programming.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And Cleep
But
Cleep the JW says you gotta hurt the brain in order to truly grow. Yeah. I agree.
yeah,
It's kinda like
yeah, you got to rip your brain out your head. You got
yeah.
to pull it out. Boom.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's kind of like when I used to work out a lot, you know what I'm saying, which I'm starting to get back into it, but you basically tearing those muscles, when you're doing lifting those weights, you destroying, the muscle, and then it's growing after it's destroyed, you know what I'm saying, or you hurting it. So I agree with that. It's similar to working out, and that's how you gain muscles and all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now, question from Carrie. Um, she says, "I am trying to get my foot in the door. I have 6 months experience. That was in 2012. I am studying for the A+ exam. I'm taking CompTIA courses. Is there anything else I need to help me? If you want to answer, I can answer as well. It don't matter. You want me
Well,
to want me to
I
answer?
would. I mean,
Oh,
this is more of your realm.
okay. Yeah, I
But
can.
I did do a little bit of A plus stuff. But yeah,
Hmm. Well, let me answer. Um, my thoughts. Well, anything else that I would recommend. Um, just don't look at more than one course. I mean, don't look at just one course. Look at multiple
mm-hmm.
courses. That's one thing I would recommend. Because and then also practice exams. If you're trying to take the A+, find you a good program that has practice exams, and you want to go through and take those exams, until you get comfortable enough. And a lot of these exams, just spend the money. Just spend the money. A lot of these exams, they'll be exactly like the test. When you go in there and actually take those certification exams, they'll have a
Mm-hmm.
timer on it, and then um, once you take the exams, they tell you what areas you need to look into more. Like, because with these CompTIA certifications, they have what they call domains. That it separates, different areas within the A+ exam. Now, I haven't taken an A+ exam, so I don't know what those domains are, but I know that's the format that they follow. But when you take those practice exams, they'll tell you where you're lacking at in each one of those domains. Maybe it's a networking domain or some form of a hardware or software domain. Then go look, then study that part of the course again. Go through it again in order until you get to a point where when you take the exam, you do good on all the different domains, and then take the test. But A plus is a good way to start. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to get into the tech field, you'll get that base knowledge of tech, especially if you haven't done it before. You know what I'm saying? That's a good place to start, though.
Mm-hmm. They'll get you one of those help desk jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I know Tech G, he has a course on the A plus too.
Yep. Yep. He does. So check out Tech G. Yeah, I forget my brother, man.
Yeah,
Tech
man.
G, yeah, definitely. He has a full course, and that's what I was gonna say, but I'll be all over the place trying to think of it, cause that's what I meant by looking at more than one person's, course. Don't just look at one, whichever one you found. Don't just look at that one. Look at multiple ones. And Tech G has one as well. So you may understand it a little better coming from him. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these courses have the same information in it. They have pretty much the exact same information. But you may understand it better from the personality that's teaching it over here versus over
Mm-hmm.
here. So that's why I say look at more than one. So
Yeah, and that's the same thing whenever you learning programming. I mean, the way I teach it might not be for everyone
mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna have you doing some examples, the examples that fit what I did or my lifestyle. So whenever you look at someone else talking this dry, boring stuff, it's gonna be like, oh, it's be like you can't follow it because it's just there's no entertainment to it. If I want to do that, I could read the book. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to look at different presentation models or different methods of presentation will help you learn this stuff.
Yep.
And A
Yep.
plus is fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I agree. And then now this is a programming question, but Paul BC says, is Go a hard programming language to know? Have you touched on Go? That's
I haven't.
Google's.
I think. I'm thinking. Go is Go is probably a variation. Because let me see. At first, it was what? No, I'm thinking about Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to take a look at some Go code because I never wrote it, but I'm thinking Go is probably just something is a basic re uh, um reincarnation of Java, just a little simpler and more made for the stuff Google is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You are already there too when you said Google. I'm glad you said that because I was getting it mixed up with Objective C
Mm-hmm.
and that stuff Apple is doing, and they created Swift. So it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
C. I think it was what Objective C. Then then they went to Swift.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and Go. Yeah, I did the only reason I knew off the top of my head Go, because I did a video showing people how to set up in a programming environment for Go,
Mm-hmm.
and how and what it's actually used for. So it's similar to C though. Just so you
Yeah,
know. Yeah, yeah. But and then it was something else I seen in here. Let's see, Java, you gotta understand memory deeply. Is that
not
true?
with Java.
Okay.
Um, if you the one that you got like C and C plus plus, all the languages before Java, most likely. Most of the ones like when you look at the hierarchy of languages, C, Java, I mean C plus plus, um, even to some extent Python. A lot of those languages all come from C.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go up to C, then you're gonna start playing with memory management, even with C plus plus memory management.
Okay.
So what I'm saying here is, if you declare int integer value, and you might not use that value after a couple function calls,
Mm-hmm.
that value will still be available in memory, and it could expose your program to being hacked, or it could make it so you'll have memory leaks, or it could overrun your memory. I remember back probably earlier versions of Chrome. I think was that Chrome or Firefox. One of those browsers had a terrible memory leak, and
Okay.
if you run that browser and resume it over a lot of times, it'll crash your system, because when you restart the browser, it'll pick back up and populate those same areas of memory and put all that stuff that was caused by the memory leak back in there. So you'll have to free the memory in order for that to go away,
Yeah.
or just in the process, right in the process before it could save it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's dope, man. Like, and that's the thing, bro. I don't,
Um,
I don't
yeah, I think
program that
Michael
much. Oh,
Michael
go
Tripp
ahead.
just mentioned it. Deep learning cloning in Java is memory related.
Yeah.
Is it requirement? Learning deep cloning. What do we mean by deep cloning?
Mm, that.
I'm thinking, is he talking about cloning an object? Because in Java, you have constructors and destructors that automatically release the memory. And in C++, you have the same thing, but sometimes you will have to use stuff like new and delete to to make sure that memory is deleted.
Okay.
And in Python, you have memory. They call it garbage collection, really, where it would clean up memory, even if you decide to create an object and leave that object out after its scope is gone. That's what
Okay.
they say when an object is out of scope. So you might call a function that creates a value, and after you use that function, all the temporary values, all the temporary variables will still be available after you return back from that function and
Okay.
stuff like that. So and C++ also it collects garbage in that sense, but
Hmm.
it's like whenever you create memory with the new keyword, and if you don't delete it, now you're in trouble.
So it's kind of like setting a variable or something to that
Yes.
effect. Because I mean, the most I've done similar to that is like I said, I guess the deepest program I've done is really been in like VBA, which is
Okay.
Microsoft's thing, and it was mainly for like what you call that damn database,
You talk about
access
like
access
PSQL?
access.
Access.
Yeah, so I was writing like a lot of VBA to build tables and all that stuff, and as well as tying it with SQL, calling SQL, queries and all that stuff for an application I was building. And this was years ago. So like declaring a variable um and then wiping it out of memory or something at a certain point. Otherwise, it's
Yeah,
gonna
that,
stay
that's
there.
that's kind of like what we're
Similar.
doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what he'll do is like I think a majestic logic. I think he said he's talking about making a shallow object from other objects.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, so that I mean making a shallow object from another object.
Okay. Okay.
So that means that you have an object that you created that you not you. So I mean, are you aware of that object? Because if you create like a object, and then that object is inherited from another object, then once you call it the destructor on the parent object, is gonna also free all of the objects that were created like in that chain
Okay.
in Java and in Python. And I think to the most part, that's why you have those destructors and constructors in C++. So you won't have that problem. I'm thinking you have a lot of memory leaks really whenever you're doing stuff in with the new and the malloc. Let me
Mm-hmm.
get this phone call right quick.
Okay. Go
I don't know
ahead.
why I decided to.
It's all good. Yeah, but yeah, all this stuff y'all talking about, deep cloning is like going over my head. I don't know what y'all talking about, and that kind of shows that you know I mean, just because you in the tech field don't mean you
Mhm.
know everything. Like I
Oh
don't,
no, that's true.
yeah, like certain things I could probably talk about when it comes to databases. I don't know. Savage scientists may know because he's been around, but in most cases, you know what I'm saying. A lot of people, even if you work in tech, it's considered a tech job. You don't know in depth, that type of job. You know what I'm saying, and like certain things, it's almost
Mhm.
like speaking in different languages. We speak in different dialects. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
So.
it looked like what his name is, Golarino,
Hmm.
what is it, Galarimo,
Oh,
Morrison,
Guillermo, I think.
Guillermo,
Yeah.
Guillermo. Man, my bad for murking your name like that. But yeah, he said set a variable without a value and then run the code is garbage. I consider that a null whenever you create either a null value or
Hmm.
but no, because null is a value actually.
Yeah.
So it's just like running, like if I declare a value, a integer value, and then I call that value in my code.
Hmm.
I actually demonstrated that in my last video. So I'm gonna drop that video Monday. I know in old
Okay.
C++ compilers, when you do stuff like that, you're I mean you'll get, they call it unpredictable results.
Hmm.
And that, I mean, what he talking about is kind of like if you declare an array and you walk past the capacity, you could start stepping into other areas of memory. That's a lot. That's how hackers do things too. Like they would write past an array and then access some other stuff and start changing code to other things, and then they'll give root. They'll actually set root privileges on the file system
Hmm.
by doing. I mean, my like when I was taking a computer reverse engineering class, he was explaining to me that he made it so he used something in WordPad and something in something he was able to use WordPad and some type of setting inside of an operating system, like changing how fast the mouse move. I'm gonna just use that. I don't know exactly what he did though, because I gotta look back at
Hmm.
the paper. But you could use you just taking parts of all types, different parts of the operating system, and tinkering with it so you could have access to that specific part of memory that holds the value that sets your account as administrator. And you can't access it directly, but if you move stuff around right past this, right past that, you would
Hmm.
somehow open up that area in memory,
Okay.
area in memory.
Hmm. Yeah, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Like.
So yeah. So majestic logic is just saying that a lot of important programming concepts. And so yeah, they tend to miss a lot of that stuff. That's why you have to learn this stuff on your own. You have to be interested in it. And yeah, I learned more programming trying to dissect malware and other programming, other people's code. Yeah, so that's what it is. Like that stuff that he just said. Whenever you reverse engineer code, that's how you're gonna learn how operating systems work. And going back up to G, he said his name is Guillermo.
Oh, okay.
Guillermo.
Guillermo. Okay.
All right. So man, I don't man, I apologize for
Yeah.
how
Sorry too.
horribly I totaled your name like a Chevy, bro. I just ran it into a brick wall.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
got a
all right.
homeboy last name Guillory, and the beginning kind of sound like Guillory or look
Yeah, I
like
saw that. I
Guillory.
saw
So
his name earlier too.
okay, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And my
Um.
wife over there laughing at me, talking about I'm over here in
Oh,
the
oh,
other
oh.
room trying to trying to tell him how to pronounce it. Yeah.
Man, that name. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a tough.
he got both of us.
Oh yeah, man. It's
Yeah,
he
shout
got
out
one
to
of them
you
names,
though.
man. I'd be like, man. I mean, like you get somebody that's just naming a lot of names, and then his name come, and then he got to stop and be like, hold on. They just call him G in your last name,
Yep.
G Morrison.
Yeah, that's what they do in the military a lot. If they
Yeah,
can't pronounce it, they just gonna say the first initial.
yep, G Morrison. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
man, but that's all the questions I got. I left a few off, but that's pretty much all. Oh, well, let's ask this. So how important is understanding Linux?
Oh man, yeah. I think understanding Linux is real important. I mean, the whole C kernel was written in C.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you're doing something in programming, web, I mean, really like web development stuff, I mean, I would almost say web development should be done on Linux because your web servers are mostly going to be in Linux.
Yep.
But then whenever you testing front end stuff, you could do all that front end crap in a Windows or Mac PC because most of your users going to be using that front end.
Mm-hmm.
But really, your front end is going to be the same in Linux too. So
Yep.
I mean, really, Linux. I would say Linux is great to learn. I mean, just so you could be the savage in the room, be like, while y'all playing around and highlighting stuff in with the mouse and all that, you just hit the command prompt, and now you opening websites and changing resolution on the screen.
Yeah.
Man, I love Linux, man. It is one of the things that when you say you know Linux, I mean, people just immediately think of you as a hacker or something.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's
I
one
know
of
a
the
little bit of
reasons.
Linux.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I got hooked on it or whatever because it's just cool, man, and it just
Mhm.
it does make you stand out as well. Like when you put that on your resume, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't do it. You know, a lot of people don't know it. So
Oh
I mean, it's
yeah.
a lot of people getting into it now because of the cloud, but in the past, you know, someone that understood Linux was rare, very
Oh
rare.
yeah,
So
and
it
especially
mm-hmm.
especially from our backgrounds, living in
Yeah.
New Orleans. Really, if
Mm-hmm.
you know what a computer is living in New Orleans, you're ahead of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, especially I mean, being in the military also, they don't have a lot of Linux machines in the military unless it's a firewall or something like that. Well, at least I didn't have exposure to them. If they did, they didn't want to tell me about them because they
Yeah.
thought I was gonna hack it. And I wasn't trying to be. I mean, I'm a little more dangerous now. Now that I started going through some of the pen testing material. I know a little bit more about Linux to be a little more dangerous. Man,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a great conversation too. Talking about the cybersecurity aspect of Linux and how you could. That's what I'm like. I'm at LSU now, and I'm hopefully soon I should have my master's. But yeah, I did my paper on Linux
Okay.
using using Linux to scan memory addresses in Windows from a memory dump.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I worked on.
Mm-hmm. That's dope,
Yeah.
man. That's
So
dope. And then that's cool. You at LSU too. That's
oh yeah,
dope,
but
man. Yeah.
I took all the classes. Now I'm just working on my paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I owed them a little money, so that's why I had to delay graduation.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
I owe them about $500. So I just paid that off. So now
Got you.
I'm about to knock it out.
Yeah, got you. And last question for you, Kevin. He says, any tips on developing programming logic? For example, you mentioned dissecting other people's code.
Well, really, the logic of dissecting other people's code, that would probably be more of a debugging thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you can reverse engineer it, but it's really gonna just still just take take someone's code and just make these crazy, hard to understand random variables. So you'll have to go back and try and figure out what those variables do. But if you could look at someone else's code, hopefully they name stuff. Like if you're looking at a hacker's code, they'll probably create a function that say add two numbers to actually subtract two numbers and put this one in some spot in memory. So that's a big difference. So you can't trust hackers' code, but if you're
Yeah.
looking at something that was legitimately written for a specific purpose, then they should use variable names that make sense so you could go back and see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually I'm gonna do a video on debugging code, but it's gonna be in C++ though, but I'm gonna talk more about how to look at someone else's code and figure out what it's doing.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great topic because it makes me think about because you brought up cybersecurity as well. Um,
Mhm.
that's pretty much a job, dissecting malware so you can
Oh yeah.
understand what the malware is doing so you can stop it from whatever it's doing to the systems. You know what I'm saying? So
And that's why assembly language haven't died
yeah.
in machine code, because I mean even C, like they have this tool called IDA Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and there's Ghidra. Those are two popular reverse engineering tools that are used. And the thing is, Ghidra is actually created by the CIA. So I'd be like, if you use that and start reversing code, you might have. I mean, they probably have a back door, so they checking to see what you're doing. So I would go with IDA if it's possible, but it's expensive.
Okay.
But the thing about using this is you have to. I mean, another thing, Ghidra was written in Java,
Okay.
so it's gonna be a lot slower. And so what's going on here is that you have to. So you would actually feed a malware or a piece of code, or actually executable, and it's gonna take that executable file, and then it's gonna trace it back to all the calls that make it so you could start looking at how to function. So it's basically gonna create real spaghetti code. So you're gonna be looking all over at jumps and
Mm-hmm.
labels and all that stuff in assembly language. And to reverse something simple like printing a word to the screen, it might produce so much junk that it's gonna be even hard to just to see what it's doing,
Yeah.
because it's all gonna go back to assembly language programming, and assembly language is specific to the machine you running that program on. So it tends to lead to a lot of problems. That's why reverse engineers get paid $200,000 and $300,000 a year.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that bag right there. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of bags, shout out to my man Kev Tech in the building. Shout
So,
out to you. Um and I don't want to mess up your name and but
oh, another one.
Shubham
What's that? Soleil?
Shubham. I don't want to mess up your name, but shout out to you, bro. I definitely appreciate you. He
Oh,
says,
oh
I
yeah.
guess I'm the only Indian on the channel. Nah, man. I think it's a couple guys on here. But he says, by the way, I'm not trying to learn Python. Let me see. Who else?
So he don't want
Clint.
to learn Python. So he wanna. Is that the one who said he want? So he not learning Python. So that means he gonna do C sharp,
Mm-hmm.
JavaScript, or Java,
Yeah, I
or
don't think.
C plus plus. I mean, you can learn C plus plus first. I mean, it's not that difficult. I mean, at
Mm-hmm.
least you're not learning Fortran or COBOL, one of those languages that dinosaur languages.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Uh, but cause I didn't see what else he was saying he might try to learn, but Tech said these names today, LOL. Yeah,
Oh
man,
yeah, yeah.
we both
They're
having a
like
tough
seem
time.
like just saying that they using obfuscate through their code. That's like
Trying to hide it, right?
unnecessary confusion just to confuse you
Yeah,
even more.
yeah, Gish Gallop or something to that effect.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
throwing
that's
a whole
big
bunch
in
of stuff
cyber.
in. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, shout out to everybody that came through. Is there anything else you wanna, put out there or anything you got coming up, you want people to look out for? And I got his channel up, you guys. So definitely subscribe to his channel, and it's also pinned in the comments. But go ahead,
Oh, thanks.
Ed.
Right. So really, I'm gonna. You see how I have look like number 5, C++ data types and variables.
Mm-hmm.
On Monday, probably tomorrow, I'm gonna be releasing number 6, and hopefully I'm gonna be doing 6, 7, and 8. So I'm gonna be releasing mathematics, and then I'm gonna do binary numbers. I mean, not binary numbers, just binary operators in C++. So that's stuff like and, or, if, and also working with if statements.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's the dinosaur cup.
Okay.
It's a C and COBOL program. Oh yeah, I make fun of COBOL programmers all the time.
It's all good. Yeah. But man, I definitely appreciate you coming through and do this. You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting conversation, great conversation. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed it. We
For
definitely gonna
sure.
have to do it again. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, man, I'm gonna be available.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yeah,
It was nice.
and
It was nice talking to everyone here, and great stream.
mm-hmm.
Uh, great conversation too.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
really would like to talk more about cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we got it out there, what I do.
Yeah.
Um, so I really want to hurry up and get programming out of the way on my channel so I can focus more on cybersecurity because that's my goal.
Okay.
But sometimes in order to talk about cybersecurity, like writing scripts and doing all that good stuff, I got to show people that I do have a little bit of computer, I mean, programming background,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully one day I'll be monetized.
Yeah,
Yep. So
yeah. And that's why I wanna try to help you. That's why I try to bring on, um it don't matter what size your channel is, you know what I'm saying? I try to bring
mhm,
on people because I think, the more people putting out great information, the more people that'll look to get into this field, which I think is a great
mhm,
field, you know what I'm saying? And so uh, I don't mind helping people grow their channels, grow and get as many people, interested into this, you know. And then also we can all, make a little money from it as well, from all
oh
the
yeah.
time we put into, trying to help other people as well. So,
Yeah,
dope.
I had to step my production quality up a little bit. I used to be known to just sit back, have the darkest, most ratchet looking videos on YouTube, but I'm trying to step this up a little bit
Nah, I
so I
don't think
can,
it, I don't think you was.
take it a little more serious.
Yeah, yeah. I got you. I don't think you was that bad though, man. Like
Oh man, I used to have,
I
I
done
used to
seen
be
worse.
in the dark, just sitting in the dark talking. The only thing you can see is my eyes.
I got
I
you.
mean, they just say it look like I'm in a cave or something.
hmm
But yeah. But yeah, sometimes a lot of times in the tech community, it turns out to be a thing where people just like quality. I mean, a great high quality video talking about a pen, and be
hmm
like, oh, you know what, or a low quality video where they actually giving you something that could really help you make a decision
Yeah.
on something, but they'll go with the pen video because it looked good.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. And that's why, yeah, like when you have a channel or something, or if you're trying to put out, content, you kinda gotta reinvest into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've purchased mics, a camera, and stuff like that, and it all came from people donating to the channel. I would always anything I would get, I just kind of reinvested back into it. Better laptops, more memory for my computer or something to that effect. It's all been invested back into it so I could get better at this thing. You know what I'm saying, and try to help people because you're right. I mean, if the presentation is bad, nobody's really gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta kind of present present it in the best way possible that you can, based on your pocketbook. I mean your wallet. You know what I'm saying? So, yep. But hey man, again, I appreciate you. Hang on after this. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure.
But I appreciate you coming through and doing this. And I definitely appreciate all you guys for coming through, and I'll try to have some more guests come through, later on as well. I'm working on a couple more people, try to bring them on as well. But definitely check out Savage Scientist channel if you haven't already. Like I said, his link is on there in the description of the video. And shout out again and keep it techie.
Peace out.